designed to add more texture to the sauce. And ours has a perfect balance of sweet and spices, and there's some spices going in now. And my goodness, that looks good. You want to look at that? Let's just take a shot at that, will you? Yeah, that's what it started looking like now. This is a concoction of 3 ingredients that we put in to balance out the sugar. And you want to make sure that the pH is right. And then once you figure out what that pH, what the acid and the sugar balance is, that's the whole secret right there.
Don't count on John Henry to disclose his ingredients, which are inspired by a love of barbecue passed down for generations. But he is willing to share some of his process.
This is a beater or an agitator. And what you want to do here, you want to incorporate the slurry and all the other ingredients, the spices, into the tomato product that we just put in. So what we want to do, we want to go all the way down to the bottom. And once you go down to the bottom, you can see how thick it is. It's already getting thick.
After all the ingredients are incorporated in the sauce, and it's cooked for an average of 2 hours, it's bottled in the unautomated assembly line. That same cramped kitchen.
We started out with a mason jar because that's what we could afford back when we started. We never got away from this. People have wanted to try to put it in a fancy jar, but we sort of balk at that. We want to stay with basic. Get through with the sauce, you can make this a water jar, you know?
Original One in Kansas City, Kansas, also manufactures its own sauces. But as the supply of ingredients in their warehouse indicates, on a much larger scale. They also serve as a food processing plant for many other brands that don't want to invest the time and equipment to produce their product themselves.
For our first-time customers, they come out here to the 80-gallon kettles. We work with them that day. They're in here with us. We perfect their sauce in the 80-gallon kettles. Once they determine that they like what we're doing, they're ready to move on to the bigger kettles. We bring them over to either a 200-gallon kettle or a 250-gallon kettle or the Big Daddy 300-gallon kettle. 300-gallon kettle will produce about 2,200 units in a 16-ounce bottle.
After Original One's brewers mix the ingredients together for a particular sauce, they perform a thickness test.
For this particular recipe, the customer wants to have a thickness of about 18. So I'm using a costometer that has a bubble in it, and you make it a level fill for the sauce. We're going to pour the sauce in. We're going to do about a 15-second count when we open the gate. Okay, right now we're at a 15 and a half, so that means I need to add a little water to it to get this sauce where the customer wants it in his bottle.
Once the sauce makers achieve the desired thickness, they bring the temperature up to 190 degrees to sterilize the product. Then it's time to attach a hose to the kettle and pump the sauce over to the bottling assembly line.
We fill our bottles hot at 190 to 195. We want to pull a vacuum to make sure that we get a seal on the jar. It runs down the line, then it gets a stamp date for a Best Buy date, then it goes through a bander to put a safety seal on it, goes through a heat tunnel to shrink that on there, then it goes through the labeling system, into the box, right out the door.
Developing a recipe for a new sauce is one big challenge. Getting the public to buy it for the first time is another.
I have found that labeling is an interesting thing. You have to have a label that stands out with bright colors or a unique, something unique about it for people to pull it off the shelf. And that's why we have come up with the Pain is Good line. It is an outstanding label to work with.
Luckily for consumers, most sauces that pack a wallop give fair warning. Others are sweetly seductive. But addictive new tastes aren't the only things tempting barbecue lovers. So are sparkling new toys to tinker with. Barbecuing has gone beyond just outdoor cooking. It has become a lifestyle, and in some cases, an obsession. Top-of-the-line grills have become status symbols. Elaborate outdoor cooking islands can have all the conveniences of an indoor kitchen. Where the climate permits, outside has become far more comfortable than inside. Then there's the setting. Dr. David Beatabaugh has created a backyard that can serve up the pre-dinner entertainment, while the meal is prepared on an extravagant cooking island.
When we moved in here, nothing was done to the backyard, and we wanted to put an outdoor kitchen in so that we can enjoy the view and be cozy by a fireplace, and put a plasma TV in, and then a 24-foot barbecue. We put in Viking refrigerator, Viking ice maker, and a warming drawer. Now this is important because you can put your plates in here until you're ready to serve. Then we've got a double-side burner. You can a hot plate, or you can create your sauces. You move over here into a 53-inch Viking grill, several burners, rotisserie with double infrared, as well as a true sear burner. Now that has a low and a high getting up to 1200 degrees, which sears in the juices very quickly, and you can move it over to cook slower. Or you can close the hood and make an oven out of it, take it up to 450, 600 degrees, whatever you like. Over here we've got the wok cooker, and it goes up to 32,500 BTUs, which is important for Asian food. This is a refreshment center. You put the ice in here, which you get from the ice maker, and you have your hard liquor, your condiments, and your ever popular kegerator for a little party beer.
Barbecue has become a gadget lover's paradise, and Dr. Beatabaugh is always on the lookout for something new.
I like gadgets. I'm a consummate consumer. Here is tongs that for late night cooking, I just push the button here, the LED light comes on, and I can see what I'm aiming at. It's beautiful.
Barbecue stores are spreading like wildfire. Their shelves are crowded with specialized cooking aids and feature everything from tumble baskets to chicken thrones. Those eager to literally fill their meat with flavor can get to the point with syringe-like injectors. If you're cooking something bigger than a chicken, there's an injector to fill the bill, or in this case, the hog.
And that's what we have here. We're going to inject the hog with a secret sauce, and what that does is kind of tenderizes the meat a little bit. We're going to inject it and let it sit for a couple hours before we actually put the heat to it.
Meat thermometers monitor internal temperatures during cooking. This meat fork doubles as a digital thermometer. One of the tines is the heat sensor. Too busy to mind your meat? How about a digital thermometer that transmits a signal to a unit you can wear on your belt?
Your food is ready.
And if you're in the mood for barbecue but want to leave the work to others, all you need is a phone or a computer. After building a successful restaurant business, Jack Stack of Kansas City decided to get into the mail-order barbecue business.
My thought process when I decided on this shipping thing, it's kind of like, let's just get this going. Let's just find us a little space. And of course, I found out that, you know, all the meat has to be cooked in federally inspected plants. They can't come out of your restaurant. And that was a curveball that we got through.
Jack Stack found a USDA-certified facility where all the food preparation can be supervised by the restaurant's pitmaster.
What we're doing today is cooking barbecue ribs. This oven here holds approximately 300 ribs at a time. That allows us to almost duplicate our open wood cookery that we use in our restaurants every day. By using this machine, we can control how much smoke we put on the product, and it also allows us to control the temperature of the product as we're cooking it.
After the ribs have cooked for 6 to 8 hours, they're ready to cool off.
Once they go in the cooler, they're cooled down to about 38 degrees. From that point, we immediately pull them out and take them over to the vacuum machine, where we vacuum pack them to seal in the freshness.
The vacuum-sealed product is trucked across town to Jack Stack's cold storage and fulfillment facility. Renting space in an underground industrial park, constructed in a former limestone mine, has its advantages.
It's temperature controlled year-round, security year-round. It's an ambiance of 63 degrees. It never changes. It makes it easier for our freezers to keep the product frozen at a certain temperature. When we're pulling the orders, the product stays colder longer. We'll put the ribs, beans, or whatever barbecue item the customer's ordered in a styrofoam reusable container, along with a cardboard box to keep it from being damaged through shipment. We'll then put a piece of thermal foil over the product. We'll put dry ice on there, which is 150 degrees below zero. It'll go to the customers through FedEx, and they get it and enjoy it.
Mail order barbecue can now make it to your table in about the same time it takes to slow cook a large cut of meat in true barbecue fashion. For one man, though, it's not just eating and cooking barbecue that's important. The art is in the pit. He's created some of the most outrageous ever. For those in the market for a truly unique barbecue, a visit to David Close's workshop in Houston, Texas, shows why he's gained fame for his handcrafted creations.
This is what we commonly refer to as bling bling. The public named it. It's got 24-karat gold mags, gold handles. It's also holds about 600 pounds of meat. Over here we have satellite TV, which gets 1,000 channels, and it's all solar powered. So it operates off of 2,000 amp cranking staggered marine batteries. Now the paint job on this pit is a 100-year Ferrari metal flake burgundy with clear coat. What's interesting is when we put the clear coat on it, it candied it a little bit. Patent leather stools gives you something to sit on, and if you have a shelving, which is actually the fenders, then you've got gold-plated faucets and 3 sinks. You have 30-gallon water tanks underneath and holding tanks, a spare tire on the front, and then the gas injection for the firebox as well as the fish fryer burners, and you've got a complete package.
David founded Barbecue Pits by Close in 1986. He manufactures several styles of professional and consumer pits, all built by hand, in the spirit of old-style iron foundries.
This is one of the composite pits that we built. It's actually 2 separate pits built in the same line. It's probably about 12 feet long. It's got do-roll pull-out shelves, slide-out trays, upright slow smoker, and a unique steak grill that hand cranks to any cooling height that you want. All you have to do is lock it and walk away, and it won't continue to cook. It'll keep it warm.
David may have constructed some of the best barbecues ever built, and he certainly constructed some of the oddest.
We have the distinction of building the world's largest pit in the world. It was 80 foot long and probably do about 15,000 pounds of meat. This is the world's smallest barbecue pit. It's fired with 1 pecan in the firebox, and then just big enough to put 1 Vienna sausage inside. I'm always looking for stuff to make into a new pit. We found this out in the country. It was crushed, so we straightened it out over a month period, and it turned out to be a baby carriage. Later on, we found out it was a 1906 baby carriage from London, so it shows that there's nothing safe from a welder's touch. Some of the things we made were foam booths, beer bottle pits. Just recently, a couple weeks ago, a friend of mine gave us a 1938 mailbox. It was completely rusted. It was amazing. With a little bit of paint, add some shelving inside, and you've got a natural blown Texas smoker.
One of David's most meticulously constructed cookers was commissioned for the Continental Airlines barbecue team. It's an exact 1/10 scale replica of a 777 wide-body jet.
We went to David because he was the most renowned barbecue builder and pit builder in Houston, and sat down and started the initial drawings and everything with him. And as you can see, he did a wonderful job for us. What we find is people don't realize what it is, because we pull up and we've got an airplane inside of a trailer. And then we raise up the doors and people begin to realize that it's a functional barbecue pit. And the doors are raised and lowered through a series of cables and pulleys. When we're cooking, we have the fire up to temperature, we close the doors, and the smoke travels through the fuselage and exits up through the tail on the top of the trailer.
While David gets a kick out of taking barbecue into the 21st century, he's also a proud Texan. Rolling out his chuck wagon rig takes him back in history.
Despite all the crazy contraptions we build, at the end of the day, we like to go out and take a model out and celebrate our Western heritage. We like to keep that spirit alive in the community of America.
Barbecue really has become America's cuisine. Whether you spend way under $100 or hundreds of thousands of dollars on equipment, it all comes down to a matter of taste.
Barbecue is whatever you want it to be, whatever you want it to taste like. The two basic components that I would say will render out good barbecue is patience and have fun. Because if you're rushing it, then you're not going to have the love that's going to emanate from the meat.
After all, what word other than barbecue is not only a verb, but a noun for a kind of cooking device, a cuisine, and an event that promises a good time, as well as good food.